We're going to be doing 3 backgrounds. One we will use on the front of your tin, one that will be used on the inside of your tin, and the other one that you will use for all the lovely little love notes that you want to encapsulate in this tin. And the first one we're going to use Top Boss Clear, and we are going to stamp on our panel that we have cut into about a 3 1/4 inch square. I'm going to ink my stamp with the Top Boss on my panel, making sure you go past the edges of the panel. Ink it again and stamp it a second time on my panel. Again, making sure you go beyond the edges so that your panel has some flow. Third time, and overlap is fine, and you've got 3 images that you almost can't see on your panel. We're going to get one of my favorite stamp pads. It is called Kiss. It is a petal point that has 8 harmonious colors. The first color that I'm going to start with is this beautiful berry color right here. I'm going to get my paintbrush for my stamp pad, which is Clearsnap Stylus and foam tip. I'm going to pick up color from my berry stamp pad, and don't be shy. I want you to really load that up. Take that loaded foam tip. Don't move fast. Load your foam tip again. Use lots of ink. We're beginning to see that initial image that we stamped. I'm going to flip this around. I've got a foam tip on each side, and I am going to now move to the raspberry section here. Again, don't be shy. Load up your foam tip with the ink and apply. Now you can see we've got pretty harsh stop between the 2 colors. So I like to go back to the first foam tip and blend my 2 colors together. I will have a foam tip for a light pink and a dark pink. I'm going to wipe off some of the last color, the raspberry, and now I will load this one with the magenta and finish up my panel. And again, I want to blend those 2 together, so I am going to go back and blend the 2 colors. We have the beginning of a beautiful panel. I am going to take a piece of paper towel or a tissue or a Kleenex, and I want to remove any residual ink. And as you can see, up is popping your design. I will then take another foam tip and load it with ink from my Top Boss. And what I love about Top Boss, it is a beautiful embossing stamp pad, but it'll also blend color together, and look, it's erasing some of the extra color, and my resist is getting brighter, and my colors are blending together. And again, I will take that paper towel and buff my project. To fast dry it, all we need is an iron. I like to iron it from the back side, so I'm going to take it out, and I am going to iron from the back side. It works better for me than a embossing gun, for the simple reason that it is not just drying the surface ink. I'm going to move it over here, and I'm going to choose this beautiful love stamp from Clearsnap as well. Now we're going to use the Wicked Black Archival dye ink, which loves to stamp on freshly altered surfaces. And the beauty of the Wicked dye is it holds beautifully. It isn't going to bleed out on you. So I'm simply going to ink my love stamp and stamp it on my panel as I want to see it, getting good pressure over this beautiful stamp, and I've got a great image. I should give it a few minutes, but instead of waiting, I'll just give it a quick iron. We're going to add some color using a Smooch accent tip. These Smooch accent tips that we have are beautiful. They are my detail paintbrush for my stamp pads, and I use them over and over and over again. This one here, as you can see, will do dark red for the rest of its life. I'm going to take my clear Top Boss, and because my hands are a little bit dirty, instead of picking my clean Top Boss pad that we started with, I'm going to go to what I lovingly call Mr. Ugly. So I'll keep this one nice and clean for clean applications and set it aside. And I'm simply going to take my finger. You could use a foam tip, but I like my finger as an applicator. And I'm just going to add some Top Boss to my panel over top my word. And it's creating a very slippery surface. I'm going to get my Merlot re-inker for my Merlot section. The nice thing about this is when you have a stamp pad and the matching inker, you have years and years of beautiful coloring fun. And because pigment ink is very stable and very very thick, and it's very happy to sit on top of the pad, we can take our Smooch accent tip and dip it in like an inkwell. And now I'm going to take that tip and simply add color where I want it. So using that beautiful fine tip, you're just going to kind of trace your letter, and you can fill in areas if you want here, and then bring it underneath. Don't worry about being precise. This is not a precise. And what I'm going to do is do a controlled smear. You can roll your cotton swab into your clear top boss, and you can pick it up, and you can see when you do that, it allows you to manipulate that ink even more. The shading possibilities of this are endless. And you can use as many cotton swabs as you want. You can do all your letters, you can do one letter, whatever you would like, and that is how we did that top panel for your can, and that is how we did this background for the inside of the card. Background number 2 is going to be a very simple and easy technique. It's something that you can use to create a background for a card or an art journal when we don't have a lot of time. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our, we're going to get our stamp, our beautiful daisy stamp, and we're going to use our coral section of our stamp pad. Using the coral section, I'm going to ink the stamp, get it well inked, and I'm going to stamp it onto my panel here. Then I am going to pick up my foam tip, okay, and I call it my blending pink foam tip. It's actually really loaded. It's been used before to blend light oranges and light pinks, and it is really loaded with Top Boss that I picked from my Mr. Ugly Top Boss pad. And then I will smear that ink over the corner of my pad. I'm not adding a lot of color, it's just a little color. That's all it is, it's just a little color, and I'm smearing the ink. From there, we're going to move to the magenta color. I want you to ink your beautiful little daisy stamp, and you're going to stamp with the magenta on top. Again, I'm going to take that same blending foam tip, blend my ink. Just smearing and smearing, working it around the edges. The last but not least, I'm going to use my Merlot stamp pad, and you can see that I have some leftover ink, and I'm simply going to move that ink into the stamp pad. And now I can take that Merlot and I can stamp that onto my panel. Overlapping as you go, doesn't have to be a perfect image because we're going to smear it. The darker the color, the more it will smear. It gives us I'm going to use some of that to just come in around the edges. And we've got a second panel. And this was the panel that we used to create the backgrounds for these cards. You can take your Archival black stamp pad, and you can stamp another beautiful love stamp on the bottom of your little love note that's going to go into your tin. So, and also on the front of the card, that is the technique I use to do the front of the card. So now we have this beautiful card. You're going to punch a heart out of the front, punch a heart out of the background for the center, and then I want you to switch them. Taking this heart, putting it here, taking the heart that you punched out from your resist and going here. So you've got the beginning of a beautiful card for somebody for Valentine's Day. We're going to move on from that. We need to clean the stamp. So this is when I will use, you can clean pigment ink with water. It's water-based, cleans up beautifully with water. Or you can always use a handy-dandy baby wipe or cottonelle wipe. Just make sure you get the alcohol-free ones. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same background that we did for the second panel, but we're going to add a little more to it. So I'm going to choose to ink my stamp with the coral. And we're going to stamp that image up in the corner. You could leave it like this, but I am going to choose to smear that ink. So I'm going to remove, there's my blending sponge. I'm going to remove some of the old ink from there, and I'm going to smear that ink. It's starting to provide me some background color. Then I'm going to add some more coloring in with my Smooch accent tip, and this time we're going to use Apricot. So I am going to find my Apricot re-inker. I'm going to put a bead of ink on top of the stamp pad, and I can take my Smooch accent tip, pick up the color, and I can simply apply it to the end of the petal. Using a cotton swab again, rolling it into the top boss pad, I'm going to use it to apply my ink and color in my petals. All you're using is a Smooch accent tip to do the job of, say, a marker. Oh, and if you get some color from the last one, remember, your top boss erases. Then what you're going to do is you are now going to stamp that same image and Caliente. I want you to smear the ink again as we did before, and using your Smooch accent tint to apply coral and bring the color into the daisy using the coral color. In the end, you're going to be stamping in Merlot and Magenta, and you're going to stamp the image in Merlot, always filling in a lighter color like you do with the Magenta, and you're going to end up with your beautiful panel that we applied to the inside of the can, right there, all three colors. Remember to use your styluses to finish the edge of the can. When I did this for the card, I simply cut out the images and I used them, cut them out, and I used them as embellishments for my project. You now have all three backgrounds.